But it's a rock.
I know it's a rock! Don't you think I know a rock when I see a rock? I've spent a lot of time around rocks!
I like A Bug's Life more so than a lot of other people do. Whenever I see someone doing a Pixar movie ranking, it usually ends up near bottom of the list, somewhere near the bottom of the list. And I personally think it's a bit unfair. Sure, there are a few things here and there in the movie that are holding it back from being one of Pixar's best, but I personally rank it as one of the higher mid-tier movies. It's definitely more positives than negatives in this movie. This might be a hot take, but let me explain first.
No!
So, people watch A Bug's Life usually and think, yeah, that was good, and maybe watch it every now and again, but I think this movie has a lot more to offer than just a good experience. There are two scenes in particular that make me really like this movie, but before I explain them, let me explain the movie's shortcomings. Well, first thing a lot of people say of this movie is that it's kinda stereotypical with its story, being a liar reveal kind of story, and how the characters find out that the main character has been lying all along, they kick him out, he comes back and saves the day. And I'll admit, that's definitely not one of the movie's stronger suits, but maybe if they switched it around, with Flick not actually knowing there were circus bugs all along, it might have changed a lot of the dynamic and maybe could have been a little bit better, but who knows. I don't know how many movies had the liar reveal type of story, but when I was young, this was definitely my first version of it. I could definitely see a lot of people tired of it, but as far as movies go, this is one of my more favorable versions of this kind of story. Other shortcomings with the movies, some of the characters, like the circus bugs, don't get as much development as others, and so it's hard to really care for them a lot, especially during the battle scene. But hey, it was also Pixar's second movie, so they were still trying to find their footing at the time and not be a one-hit wonder company.
And they're gonna make me rich!
So there are two scenes in particular that I love personally, and I think turn this good movie into a great one. The first one is when we're at the Grasshoppers hangout, and some of them don't want to return to Ant Island, and their leader Hopper finds out about this from his brother. He acts all cheerful and chummy at first, but by announcing that they're staying. They celebrate, but then Hopper brings up Flick, who stood up to him before, and their response is that he's just one ant. Hopper keeps going along and uses a seed as a metaphorical ant. He throws it at his colleagues and asks if it hurts. They're like, nope. And he throws another one, and they're still like, nope. He chuckles a few times, and then proceeds to open the whole jar of seeds on the others, with nothing but a straight face watching them as they getting trampled by all the seeds.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back!
I find that scene in particular really intimidating, showing he doesn't care what they want, and what he wants is what matters, and showing them who the real villain is of the movie. The second scene is during the battle against the Grasshoppers, after the bird crashes and Flick confronts Hopper, explaining the bird was his idea and he was the one who he wanted. As a way to get back at him for wanting to squish the queen, Hopper starts beating up Flick and proceeds with a verbal and emotional manipulation, really talking down to the ants, so that he can still have all the power, but Flick doesn't take that.
I've seen these ants do great things. And year after year, they somehow manage to pick food for themselves and you. So who is the weaker species? Ants don't serve grasshoppers. It's you who need us.
Hopper looks around as the ants start to realize what he's been doing to them, and Flick says,
We're a lot stronger than you say we are. And you know it, don't you?
Hopper smacks Flick to the ground in an attempt to squish him, but he's stopped in his tracks. He turns around, sees all the ants banding together. He tries to contain them, but it was no good. They all know the truth.
You see, Hopper, nature has a certain order. The ants pick the food, the ants keep the food, and the grasshoppers leave.
These scenes are what I think turn a good movie into a great one, but that's just my own opinion, and I stick by it.